Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing well. My name is Joseph Park. I want to focus this channel on talking about personal finances. I wanted to share some of the things I learned along the way. I feel like there is a lot of information out there. I say listen to them, listen to me, decide for yourself which one makes the most sense, and hopefully we'll collectively be more financially educated. Today, I wanted to do a reaction video on an old Dave Ramsey video I found on the internet. For those of you who don't know who Dave Ramsey is, he is a successful personal finance host, author, and real estate investor who has a massive following. He made and he is currently making hundreds of millions of dollars helping people get out of debt through his coaching and book writing and things like that. He has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt and tens of thousands of people become a millionaire. This episode originally aired early part of 2021. I'll leave the link to the video in the description below for you to watch. I watched the entire video a few times myself, and I read some of the comments. Obviously, he knows a thing or two about personal finances, and I agree with most of the things he says, but I do want to talk about one specific piece of advice that was given on there. To give you a summary of the story, it is about an unmarried 21-year-old girl who is currently, at the time, she was 5 months pregnant, living with a boyfriend. She's working at a dental office, making $25,000 a year. Her boyfriend, who is 23 years old, working his minimum job at a grocery store, while going to an EMT school to further advance his career. The advice she's calling in because she owes 18. First, she has get married. A vehicle that she owes $18,000 on, and the vehicle is worth about $14,000 school for now, and it has he needs to find another 26% interest rate, perhaps even a third job. Get with the parents to come up with about $4,000, so you can sell the car, get out of debt, and then maybe buy about $1,500 or so hoopty in the meantime. I love pretty much everything that's on there. First of all, get married. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I agree that if you are having a baby together, you need to get married. It's a big commitment to raise a baby, and it needs to be a joint effort from the beginning to the end. The second thing, getting the multiple job, which, as they say in their show, they need a bigger shovel, right? I said I agree. Especially since in a few months from now, the girl or the caller won't be able to work anymore because obviously she's going to be dealing with a baby, and after the baby's born, you have to feed the baby and stuff like that. So chances are she's not gonna be able to kind of get out of the house. She's not gonna be able to kind of work, if anything. So definitely needs to get a different type of job. Also with the boyfriend as well, or hopefully soon to be a husband. It will be very difficult with having just one source of income, which is a minimum wage at a grocery store, especially if she's not working. So, again, putting a pause on this EMT school for the time being and getting on with the second and third job to kind of supplement the loss of income, which I agree with 1,000%. But the last piece of advice that about the borrowing the money from the family and selling the car, the caller brought up during the call about possibly not depending on the family and things like that. And normally I would agree, but she's right now. I believe she's at a place where she needs to get all the help she can get, and I believe Dave agrees with me on that. And that was the advice. To get a couple $1,000s from the family, pay it off so you have no debt, and possibly get a little bit more in extra so you can actually get $1,500 to $2,000 to kind of just drive around and stuff like that. As far as that is concerned, my head tells me Dave is right. You need to get out of the debt because obviously, with having a new baby, if you're also being in debt on top, I'm not sure how much of a peace of mind that you can have while you're in the debt. So my head tells me Dave is right, but another side tells me, is he really right though? And that's really what I want to talk about. First of all, I wanted to point out that I am a little naive, when it comes to things like this. And, but even though I am naive, I'm actually not that naive, right? So I know there are plenty of quote unquote shysters out there and idiots out there in the world, right? That's how they puts it. And there are plenty of crooked people out there that are trying to take advantage of good people. And I get that. And even the caller, she might have been one of those quote unquote idiots who are really, who purchased the vehicle that has, she has no business driving. The video doesn't really get too much into that and talking about what kind of car that she's got and things like that. And I actually read some of the comments where people were, pretty much condemning her for her mistakes in purchasing that kind of a car. Um, and her mistakes and the getting the vehicle purchased, and perhaps she deserves some of that comments and things like that. But I wanted to maybe play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Let's say, what if you or I were the salesperson at the car dealership? You may say to yourself, "Oh no, I will never be that low," or "I'll never be the sales guy," or whatever, stuff like that. But I just wanted to again play a little bit of devil's advocate where, let's say you are working, you're selling the car, and let's say you're one of those people who are not so crooked, selling cars and stuff like that. So let's say you're selling a vehicle, and a 21-year-old woman comes in and say, "Hey, I am currently 5 months pregnant, and I need a reliable vehicle, right? I have no money, I have no credit or maybe a bad credit, and perhaps maybe she has no trade, or maybe she has a trade, but that is like that $1,500, $2,000 hoopty that they was talking about, but that's all she has for the trade." Now, some people might say, you shouldn't sell her a car because she has no credit and she has, very low income, or bad credit with low income. She has no business buying a car or financing a car. That's just not right? Because again, she's got 26% interest rate on it, right? But if someone like that came to you, right, and she's definitely desperately needing a vehicle, or perhaps, maybe you're that person, right? And then the hoopty that she brought in for a trade was an okay vehicle, but let's say it started just giving you a little bit of trouble lately, right? Obviously, she's not a mechanic, right? And you don't have she doesn't really have the money to fix it. And let's say even if you had a little bit of money, and let's say you were able to fix it, but what if let's say something else could go wrong, right? Or let's say a few months, fast forward a few months, and now you're going from 5 months pregnant to 9 months pregnant, so like you're about to have the baby like any moment now, or maybe a few months even further than that, and now the baby is actually out, and maybe you're taking the baby to the hospital and stuff like that, going back and forth. And what if something happens to the car, right? And so if something like that came up, and if someone like that came up to you and said, "Hey, I need your help," would you not do your very best to get her into a vehicle that to be the best vehicle? Whether it's a new car with all the warranty in the world, or maybe it is like one of those quote unquote like new car with the certified pre-owned and whatnot that comes with a little bit of warranty, right? Because at the end of the day, not having the debt gives you the peace of mind. But if you're turning around and driving a car that's, who knows when it's gonna fall off, and it's gonna, give you car trouble, especially with having a baby on it, in it. I don't know how much of a peace of mind you can get from that. Perhaps I'm a little bit biased because I recently experienced something similar to that myself. I have a young child myself. I have a 2.5-year-old, and I went through a little bit of car trouble, but it wasn't that drastic. and my wife was there with me, and it was on an off day and stuff like that. So it was a little bit, it caused a little bit of panic to me, but I was able to kind of, work through it, no problem. Obviously I had a little bit of extra cash, and where I can kind of use that to kind of fix the car and stuff like that, where it wasn't a big deal. But you know, when and I also went through that a few times, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where I was able to kind of handle that. I had experience with, mechanical breakdowns on the vehicles in the past. Um, and so like I didn't know exactly what to do, but I knew somewhat of what to do at that situation. Um, but you know, for a 21-year-old, pregnant, about to give birth to a baby, and with the guy, possibly working, you know, first job, second job, even third job, I just don't know what is available to them where, that might be the case. Now, some people might say, but Joseph, even the new cars break down. There's no guarantee that the car is not going to break down. I agree. New cars, used cars, certified cars, whatever, all cars could break down, but the probability of that happening, I believe, is much lower. And again, having that peace of mind, thinking, even though that may not be the case, that knowing that, hey, you know what, because it's a newer car, because it's a brand new car, chances are that may not happen, and you may not have to keep looking back at your shoulder and you kind of worry constantly about what could happen once I drive it out. Again, we have no idea on what the guy or the boyfriend is driving, but he's 23-year-old, working minimum wage job, with no debt. Tells me that his car is probably not the newest, or the newish car. I believe he's also in something very similar to that quote unquote hoopty that they was talking about. So if they must have to have two vehicles, I believe having at least one of them being a little bit more reliable car will be helpful in their situation. So that's why I think I kind of quote unquote disagree to a degree on what Dave and the Ramsey team kind of advised this young lady. And lastly, I wanted to add one more thing about the debt itself and the financing itself of the vehicle. Um, Obviously, we all know that lower the rate, the better it is, right? We all know that, and obviously, she needs to do what she can to kind of try to pay it off as fast as she can. But in this particular case, I would say again, still, I believe borrow some money, have it set aside. I think that's important to, just in case there's an emergency, whether it's making the payment on the car, or again taking the baby to the hospital, whatever it may be, or buying diaper, food, whatever it may be. You gotta have a little bit of money for the baby. Um, but as far as the debt itself is concerned, and financing is concerned, I believe that refinancing is the right option for you. I believe you should definitely get a cosigner, because it sounds like if you got if they got you a 26% interest rate, that tells me that your credit wasn't the best. And I don't know what the credit looks like right now, and I don't know, I'm not the lender and whatnot. But I believe you are able to get someone to co-sign for you that has a higher credit score. I know that's not something you ideally want to do, but again, I think right now at the situation where you're in, you need to do that and get the lowest payment possible, whether it's a longer term at a higher rate. I understand that, but the primary focus should be the lowest payment. You can always pay a little bit more extra to pay it off faster. Yes, you may end up paying a little bit more in interest, and yes, that's probably not the best advice. You want to pay it off. Get a shorter term, pay it off fast as you can. But I believe for the situation you're in now, that is the best situation, and that is the best thing I think you should be doing for yourself, so you could do that. And I that was about a year and a half ago, so I'm sure the baby is already born. You guys already probably went through a lot of that stuff already. But looking back, I would have that would have been the advice that I would have given um, to the caller if I was in their shoes and stuff like that. It wasn't if I was a part of the Dave Ramsey show team and stuff like that. Which I'm not trying to be that, but it's just, I saw that video and I just wanted to kind of react on that. So let me know what your thoughts are. Leave a comments below. Please hit the like button, subscribe. If you find this video interesting, or if you tell me, hey, Joseph, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, no problem at all. Share with me what your thoughts are. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe my reasonings are completely off. Whatever it may be, I would love to hear from you guys. I want to learn myself. So let me know, and hopefully see you again next time. Thank you.